Hello. Today I want to talk about how to navigate a bidding war. This is always a really stressful time for buyers because they don't want to overpay and they don't want to, what I say, give away the farm, but they also want to win a house. And so there's a couple different ways that you can approach multiple offer situations. One of the best ways that I like to approach it is with something called an escalation clause. An escalation clause essentially communicates to the seller that you will go over the competitive price by X amount of dollars up to a threshold. So let's say the list price is $300,000. The buyer is willing to go to $325,000 in $1,000 increments over a competing bid. But a lot of agents are lazy and they don't like escalation clauses because they don't want to do math. It's kind of silly, in my opinion. So in the instances where we're not allowed to use an escalation clause, there are other ways to make your offer compelling. And sometimes they're not always financial. So what's happening a lot is that sellers don't necessarily know where they're going to go, or there's a delay into where they're going to move. And so they may want something called seller occupancy. Sometimes that's for free, sometimes that's for a fee, but oftentimes to make a deal sweeter, we'll give a seller the opportunity to stay in the home after you've purchased it for 30 to 60 days. It's fairly common. Other ways that you can sweeten your deal are by putting more money down, by contributing to low appraisal. So if, let's say, a property you think is valued at $300,000, bidding goes up to $310,000, we're worried about it appraising for $10,000 more than list, then the buyer can have the option of basically doing an additional down payment of $10,000 to cover the gap between the $300,000 and the $310,000. Another way that you can approach it is through inspections, and so one of the ways that we often do this is by saying that we will waive an individual repair under a threshold, so $500 or $1,000, depending on how competitive it gets. So in this instance, you would have the opportunity to still conduct your inspection, but you're saying, I'm not going to nickel and dime the seller. I'm only going to focus on really important things like health and safety issues or furnaces or roofs. And so that is a great way to also sweeten the pot. There's a myriad of ways to write contracts to your benefit to try to incentivize things for a seller. If you have any questions, slide into my DMs and let me be your real estate resource.